We are counting down the top 10 wildest hidden geography facts across America. From the surface, the ground looks totally solid and safe. A pasture can look flat and normal all day. A roadside ditch can look completely stable for years. Yet underneath, massive spaces hide right out of sight. Water moves through solid rock and carves out whole new landscapes, which means most people drive right over them without knowing. Some underground chambers rise taller than large city buildings. Other hidden passages stretch longer than long interstate drives. The crazy part is these are not just dead holes. They remain active spaces shaped by slow geological forces. Those specific forces continue to work right now. The deeper this list goes, the wilder the scale gets. By the time number 1 hits, the map completely breaks down. Let's begin with number 10. Fact number 10. Dream Lake looks like a deep, bottomless underground lake. The dark surface looks totally endless from the edge, but that dark surface hides something much simpler. Measurements indicate the water is only about 18 to 20 inches deep. That means it barely reaches an adult's knee. Here's the thing. The water stays almost perfectly still. No streams flow rapidly through the shallow basin. There is also no wind underground to ripple the surface. The cave air holds close to 54 degrees year-round. That steady temperature keeps the water calm and dense, so the water acts like a sheet of polished glass. Stalactites hanging from the ceiling reflect extremely clearly. They look like matching rock spikes rising from below. Visitors often think they see very deep water. Instead, the solid rock floor sits just a short distance down. The lake spreads across about 2,500 square feet. That equals the size of a modest house floor plan. What's wild is how easily this visual trick fools human eyes. The water stays crystal clear because dust settles quickly. Clean water lets cave lighting pass straight through without scattering. So the bottom blends into darkness and simply disappears. The chamber likely developed millions of years ago, yet the result is a nearly perfect mirror illusion. That illusion keeps working today inside Luray caverns. A steady underground spring continues feeding the basin slowly. So the lake keeps its glass surface right now. That means people still stare at an impossible depth today. Fact number 9. A quiet farm field can hide a slow washout. The surface grass can stay green and entirely even. Yet the ground in the Appalachians can act like a thin roof. Rain picks up carbon dioxide from the air and soil. That mix turns into a weak acid called carbonic acid. It seeps down through tiny cracks in the earth. Then it meets limestone, which is a rock that dissolves. Over a very long time, that trickle widens, cracks into slots. The slots then widen into giant voids and tunnels. The surface stays calm, so the huge danger stays hidden. Fine soil slowly drifts downward through tiny gaps in the rock. That drift acts like a hidden leak. Soil washes down and leaves a loose shell above, so the ground keeps looking normal while losing support. Paved parking lots can hide this exact same process. Then heavy rain changes the delicate balance very fast. Groundwater rises and then falls rapidly. This flushes out the remaining loose sediment. The result is the ground collapses in a single moment. The final hole can be far deeper than anyone expects. Some vertical drops reach 100 feet or more. That equals a 10-story building pushed straight down into the earth. You cannot make this up. The surface gives no clear hint until it is too late. This underground process does not stop. Water still follows hidden rock cracks today, so a calm field might sit over a growing void right now. Fact number 8. A rain-fed creek looks like it has a clear path. Then it reaches a sinkhole and seems to stop completely. The surface view says the water is totally gone, but the stream actually drops into rock fractures and keeps moving, which means the river simply changes lanes into total darkness. Flowing water carries sand and small, loose stones. These act like sandpaper scraping against the dark limestone walls. The weak acid in the water also dissolves the rock, so the underground river acts like a long-term drill. Over time, it cuts long tunnels deep beneath the surface. Some passages form smooth, round tubes when fully flooded. Then water tables drop, and the river finds a lower path. The active stream then cuts a sharp canyon shape downward. This creates stacked passage levels like a buried building. Older tiers sit high above the active drainage level. The crazy part is huge storms can still flood these older rooms. Surging water backs up into dry chambers like a filling bathtub. That means the cave can flip from walkable to flooded very fast. Fast water carries more grit, which scrapes the walls even harder. The river is still wearing down solid rock right now. The surface gives absolutely no hint of this massive drainage network, yet miles of moving water keep shaping the earth below today. Fact number 7. Virginia's natural bridge looks like a single solid rock span, but that surface view hides a much wilder story underneath. The massive arch was never built by human hands. It is actually the leftover roof of a destroyed limestone cave. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, a river flowed underground here. Cedar Creek slowly carved an extensive subterranean tunnel system. Eventually, the underground room grew too large to support its own roof. The heavy rock ceiling slowly lost all structural support. Repeated collapses dropped most of the ceiling into the gorge below. Only the thickest, strongest middle section stayed standing. That leftover piece became the giant arch we see today. The span rises about 215 feet high. That height stands taller than a 20-story building. It also stretches roughly 90 feet wide. That width could easily cover a 6-lane highway. What's wild is how stable the remaining arch remains. Its curved shape naturally spreads the heavy weight outward. Engineers often copy this exact design in modern stone bridges. The surrounding karst landscape features similar underground water networks, but the landscape below the arch is not frozen in time. Cedar Creek still flows through the exact same carved channel right now. Moving water keeps cutting the 200-foot gorge even deeper. The slow work of erosion continues changing the site today. Fact number 6. Saracen's tent in Luray Caverns looks exactly like folded cloth. It hangs from the cave ceiling like a draped curtain. But this fabric is actually solid, brittle mineral crystal. It formed from water creeping over a sloped rock edge. The water spreads out into a slick, very thin sheet. Then it slowly loses carbon dioxide gas to the cave air. This change makes calcite minerals drop out and stick to the rock. Thin layers build up over thousands of slow years. Small changes in the water flow create tiny ripples and waves. Evaporation rates can also shift and alter the slow growth. Those ripples eventually stack up to look like the folds of a blanket. The result is a perfect illusion of soft hanging material. Even wilder, iron mixed in the water creates colored stripes. These stratified bands look just like dyed patterns on a tent. This entire shape was built entirely by slow water and chemistry. It gets crazier when people tap the thin stone sheets. The rigid calcite plate can vibrate and ring like a clear bell. The cave acoustics carry that ringing tone through the darkness. The feature still sits inside an active cave system today. Water can still sheet over rock edges and leave minerals right now. Fact number 5. Most people think cave minerals only grow from dripping water, but Mammoth Cave hides fragile crystals in bone-dry upper passages. The rock walls here look completely dusty and dead. Yet invisible moisture creeps through tiny pores in the stone. This capillary action moves water without gravity pulling it down. The moisture film carries dissolved sulfate and calcium. Sulfate can come from iron sulfide, also called fool's gold. The water never forms a single falling drop. Instead, the dry cave air pulls the water out through rapid evaporation. It leaves behind thin, white gypsum crystals. These crystals can curl like hair or fan out like flat flowers. Some straight needles grow several inches long directly into the air. That length is longer than a standard house key. The result is a crystal garden built entirely by vapor. That is insane when the surrounding air feels completely arid. If water actually dripped here, it would wash the fragile crystals away. The cave uses this slow hidden sweat to build massive branching bushes. The process remains highly active in these upper passages today. Tiny changes in airflow still shape how the needles grow right now. A single human breath can actually shift how fast evaporation happens. The walls act like slow chemical workshops running today. Fact number 4. The Shenandoah Valley surface looks like ordinary quiet farmland, yet the limestone underneath hides a towering massive maze. Endless caverns features tight tunnels that suddenly explode outward. One mapped chamber reaches roughly 140 feet straight up. That height equals a 13-story building hidden completely underground. Here's the thing. Millions of years ago, underground streams rushed through these cracks. Rainwater picked up mild natural acid from the soil above. The acidic water slipped down into fractures in the limestone. Moving water scoured the rock walls with real physical force. It widened weak joints until massive vertical rooms eventually formed. Shallow seas actually laid down the original limestone mud millions of years ago. What's wild is that the violent water eventually drained completely away. Now these giant rooms sit empty and totally silent. The temperature stays locked near 54 degrees year-round. Deep rock insulation keeps the underground climate perfectly stable, but the massive cavern network is still not totally finished. Dripping water still builds fresh mineral deposits today. Mapping teams continually find new unmapped miles stretching into darkness. Miles of dry tunnels sit stacked right on top of each other. The ground below the valley is basically a stone honeycomb right now. Fact number 3, cave pillars look like heavy permanent support beams, but these solid structures are actually still actively under construction. Deep inside Luray caverns, dripping water leaves microscopic calcite layers. The process moves so slowly it defies human lifespans. Evidence indicates large stalactites grow at an insanely slow pace. They add about 1 cubic inch every 160 years. That small volume equals roughly the size of a single sugar cube, so a 10-foot pillar takes thousands of years to form. Rainwater absorbs carbon dioxide from the soil far above. This acidic water eats through limestone and picks up dissolved calcium. When it hits the cave air, it drops the mineral payload. Small rimstone pools also form step-like basins on the floor. Over millions of years, these tiny drops built structures exceeding 50 feet. That massive height rivals a 5-story building sitting entirely underground. The crazy part is the slow buildup never fully stopped. Active drip zones still glisten with fresh moisture today. The gigantic stone shapes keep growing, one microscopic layer at a time. Cave monitors report ongoing deposition in several mapped areas. The cave landscape is still actively reshaping itself right now. Fact number 2, people expect musical organs to use metal pipes and wind, but Luray Caverns holds an instrument wired directly into the earth. In 1954, Leland W. Sprinkle, walked through the dark cavern. He noticed different hanging stalactites produced different tones when tapped, so he spent 3 years testing more than 3,000 different formations. He used tuning forks to find pieces that perfectly matched concert notes. He carefully shaved small bits from the tips to fine-tune them. Then he wired electric solenoids directly to the rock. Rubber mallets strike the hanging stone with carefully controlled force. This created the massive Great Stalacpipe organ. It does not sit tightly packed in one single room. The layout covers about 3.5 acres inside the cavern system. That massive area equals more than 2 football fields side by side. When a key is pressed, a hammer strikes a distant rock. The natural cave acoustics carry the clear tone for hundreds of feet. No electronic speakers are ever needed. What's wild is that this huge machine is still fully active. Automated systems now play the delicate rock formations for daily visitors. It blends raw geology and human engineering on an insane scale. Clear music still echoes off the damp limestone walls right now. Fact number 1, Mammoth Cave is already the longest known cave system on Earth. Surveyors have mapped more than 420 miles of twisting passages. That insane distance stretches longer than driving from Louisville to Chicago. But the biggest secret is what the map does not show. The system's actual outer boundary remains completely unknown. Explorers continue to squeeze through narrow rock gaps every single year. They follow faint drafts of cold air to find new open rooms. In 2021 alone, crews mapped roughly 8 miles of newly discovered tunnels. That added distance is longer than walking across a small town. Decades ago, explorers linked Mammoth Cave with the Flint Ridge system. Studies of underground airflow and water tracing point to huge missing sections. Hundreds of additional miles likely sit entirely untouched in the dark. That means the world's biggest cave is still officially growing in measured length. Acidic rainwater continues to dissolve the limestone rock grain by grain. Underground rivers still carry away the dissolved rocky debris. The massive network remains a living, highly active geological process. This is not a finished map sitting in a history book. Survey teams are pushing the boundaries further outward right now. These 10 discoveries completely flip how the ground works. What looks like a quiet, solid surface actually covers massive hollow zones. Rivers cut hidden canyons, and vapor builds fragile crystal gardens. Sinkholes can open without warning, and shallow water plays tricks on the eye. None of these features are frozen history. Water and weak acid keep shaping the rock every single day. The Earth continues to evolve in total darkness, which means the landscape today is still actively under construction. It is wild to think how much empty space hides right beneath our feet. People drive right over these changing systems every single day.